Hey, Mr. Pletta, it's so nice to see you again. Thank you for joining a Math 1-to-1 again. How are things?
Things are good. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to, have this ability to meet with you one-on-one and kind of see, where I can get that help because right now I'm struggling a little bit. I like since our last meeting, I was told I need to bring in more low floor, like high ceiling tasks, but I don't
Mhm.
really know what that is or how to do that. So that's kind of like where I could use some help today.
Okay, great. Well, you're come to the right place. You teach fifth grade, right? Fifth grade this year?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. This
so
year, fifth grade.
all right. And what's something that you're about to like launch into teaching? Let's think about like a couple weeks down the road.
Yeah, well, next week we introduce like volume of 3D shapes. So that's kind of something we're working on here next. So
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to, maybe you've already heard of it. Have you ever, are you familiar with Polypad? It's through Mathagon, a website called Mathagon.
I think maybe a little bit, but I've never really done much on it.
Okay. So the cool thing about this, so this is, imagine this is like a virtual white space. And on the left-hand side, there's different tiles and you can like bring different things in. So like I could pull in this giant, a
Well,
thousand block, it's really big. So I'm actually going to just delete that. So, but it's really interactive and fun for the kids. But what's also really cool about this is that it actually has like any manipulative that you might have
wow.
in your classroom. Like
Oh,
these
the
are all
number line. Nice.
the number line, yeah. But like even if you get into algebra, there's algebra tiles for some of the bigger kids. There's these awesome balance scales that you can put on and you can like,
Wow.
it's like all
That's
interactive.
great.
So yeah, so but for today, since you said you're working on volume coming up, let's focus on a task with volume. Okay, so here, and you talked about low floor, high ceiling tasks. So here is a
Yeah.
task. Okay, so here's a task that I already have saved. And PS, note to the mentors, and I think it's okay to say that here. Note to the mentors is that this is Mathagon is one of the tools that you will use on a consistent basis. And I already pre-filled this task for 30 cubes. Um, so you wouldn't normally always have this as a pre-filled task, just as an FYI. All right, so Mr. Pletta, back to character, back to in character. All right, so the question is, I'm actually going to close this off so that we have more space. So here is an example of what you asked, what's a low floor, high ceiling task? So thinking about volume of prisms, I'm thinking, all right, we want the students to be understanding the idea of what a rectangular prism is. We want them to understand that the volume is made up of cubes. So before we even get to that, this task is very simple. How many different rectangular prisms can you build with one cube? Two cubes, three cubes, and so on. So I'm actually going to drop this link in the chat. And so the way to do that, mentors, is I go back to the where it says file and I hit save. Sorry, I have to hit save first. So I'm glad this is happening in this session so that mentors will see always hit save. And then you hit that little link thing, and then you click this black copy to clipboard. And then you can very easily just throw it in the chat for your mentee teacher to be able to access. Now, while Christian is going ahead to open that, I'm going to demo one other thing. Once Christian starts manipulating this frame and he starts putting different things on here or maybe moving these cubes around, I will not be able to see his work because now he has his own copy in his own space and like saved in his own computer. But he will be able to share his screen and show me what he's doing. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay.
All right. Pulling that up now. Okay.
Okay.
Zoomed in here. Ready to go.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So talking about low floor, high ceiling tasks, why are low floor, high ceiling tasks so important for teaching when we're teaching mathematics? And the reason is because it provides students obviously the space to really think mathematically and encourages them to like see themselves as problem solvers. So I'm going to throw the question back at you. Like, what does it actually mean to be a problem solver for a fifth grader?
So I'm gonna try not to use the answer in the definition here or whatever. But I guess like being a problem solver is just like having the ability to think about all the different things you've learned and like use them. So that kind of makes me think like um kind of being flexible and like knowing,
Mhm.
when to use certain strategies and understandings and concepts and stuff.
Mhm.
And then I do think like an important part too of like problem solving is like not shutting down if you make a mistake, like kind of that persistence, perseverance.
Mhm.
And then I think too, one that maybe like I know I don't think about maybe enough as a teacher is like problem solving is also representing your thinking in like different ways, like several ways. So maybe like for example here, one student may want to like write it out with numbers in this problem, and others may want to represent it like with actual cubes, and like knowing that both of
Right.
those are like a form of problem solving. Um so yeah, that's when I think it needs to be a problem solver.
Totally. So when your coach comes in and says, "Hey, I need you to incorporate more low floor, high ceiling tasks," like, yes, this is a great example of low floor, high ceiling tasks. But really, what a low floor, high ceiling task does is it provides an opportunity for every student to engage at their level and then engage in different ways throughout the problem solving process. Maybe encounter some areas where they're going to get stuck or get frustrated, but then get through it. And then it also provides an opportunity for students in the class who really like pick up on it quickly to take it as high as the sky, right? So high ceiling, right?
Yeah, okay, I get
That's
that
what
now.
a low
Makes
floor high
sense.
ceiling task means. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm starting to get it more now.
Great. Okay. So if you were a student in your class, and let's suppose you shared this with your students, what would be the first thing that your students would probably do?
Um, I think they'd probably answer the one cube question,
Okay.
and just that it's one,
Mm-hmm.
that the only you can only build one different rectangular prism with one cube.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
and then if it's the interactive part, then maybe like they would like drop two cubes and like
Mm-hmm.
interact with it maybe,
Mm-hmm.
and like see how many they could make
Nice.
that way. So I could like see my students saying, "Oh, it's two because you can have the cubes like this way
Mm-hmm.
and this way." And
Mm-hmm.
so, I mean, just thinking about that right away, I think it would be good to like have them have a partner or in a group or something like discussing that. So maybe that's something that like I could do to get that low floor, high ceiling type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Getting them talking more, and talking about like if these are the same or not, because that's like that's the next part of this is figuring out if with two cubes if this counts as one or two. Uh, so I think that would be good, and I could see that taking like getting students engaged and stuff like that, and we probably have to bring it back and kind of get to like a consensus as a group and stuff like that if
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
one or two representations of it.
Sure. And so, right, when we give students something to argue about, then the conversations can be really rich. Yeah, because what I was also thinking about is like, do you have anything in your classroom? Like, do you have physical manipulators in your classroom that would mimic this simulation on like that they could have in their hands, basically?
Oh yeah. I do have the Unifix cubes, where they can kind of click them together and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could get those uh like on a table or something like that. Like, and they could have like their table interacting with it and building. And then kind of, oh, maybe I could have like everyone like because they're seated at four at the table. Maybe like each person's in charge of like making a 30 and making it different. And then they could have like that time to kind of discuss, if they made two that are the same, why are they the same or why are they different, and
Yes.
having that time that could be good. And I bet that would like promote like more discussion and stuff and just interactive ability. And like, I guess, I find that students like activities where they can have more than one right answer.
Yes.
And obviously with 30, you do have that. So that would be
Nice.
good. So,
Let's see what
so that
happens.
would be
Nice.
one.
Okay. What's another one? And now you can imagine what the students are building.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure I would get a lot of like 1 by 10 by 3, like in that kind of,
Hmm.
like we kind of just showed like with it being flat.
Hmm.
Um,
Nice.
let's see. So we have probably oh, trying to think, are there other ones here? There's got to be more.
A 1 by 1. What about 1 by 1 by 30?
Of course, yeah, we could do that.
I wonder what that's going to look like on here.
Oh, whoops, I did 10.
That's okay. Will it let us do 30?
It does not.
Interesting. Okay. Um, how
Let's think.
about
Other ones for 30.
how about 2? So this is actually perfect because let's look at those 2 prisms there. Okay. Instead of thinking of new
Mhm.
ones. Okay. So now
Yeah.
this is a perfect. So if can you like slide one next to the other kind of? Okay. Now think about if the students had unifix in front of them, the unifix cubes in front of them. What
Hmm.
do you notice if you put, now it's kind of tricky to see it on here, but so you have a 2 by 5, right? So it's like 2 by 5 by 3. And then you have yeah, nice. Okay. Oh, you changed the color. I love it.
Yeah.
And so, like, what could you do? You see the kind of bluish color one? What could you do to that
Hmm.
one to make it look like the orange one? And I don't know if you can even do this. I don't know if it's gonna,
I
oh,
think, yeah, maybe like the split thing. Let's see if it, and then merge. Okay. No.
doesn't work. Here's a
But I
perfect
can.
example where a teacher could say, for the mentors in training, a teacher could say, well, I'd rather just do this with my manipulatives in my classroom. But look how
Mhm.
quickly Christian can build this so that, we're not like dealing with all of these cubes falling all over the classroom. So now we've got nice. So now here's opportunities for you to ask the students questions like, what is the relationship between what you had before with the what was it, 1 by 3 by 10?
10. Hmm.
Yeah. And the orange one, what was it now? The blue one also, 2 by 3 by 5. And then see what else they can build from there. So I think at this point, we could just like cut it and think about like, again, because this is for mentors and training, and I'm going to keep this in the video, is how do you get students thinking about relationships instead of just like brute force going through and finding um,
Hmm.
all the different relationships. So I see that so tell me what you're doing now. I love it.
So this, I thought of another one, I think, that actually would work. No, maybe not. Let's see. So that so it's nice that we know that these are 30. Nope, doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Right. But again, you can see how your students in your classroom might be able to explore, experiment, multiple representations.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
even just this, like seeing, oh, I was trying to make one like different. But like why doesn't this work? Well, this isn't like a rectangular prism because it's not like evened out on all sides, or it doesn't have a true um like rectangle on all 3 sides or 3 dimensions.
nice. Yeah. And then you can start talking about like factors and like which like could it be a 4 by something? Like, could we have one of the dimensions before? Yes or no, and why not? And we don't need to get into that
Mhm.
question here because I know you probably have to go pick up your students from gym in a few minutes. So,
Right.
but yeah. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for this co-creation. Now, hopefully, is there something? Oh, look at that. Oh, you're just doing the back button.
Just going back. Yeah.
How are you doing so fast? Okay, so let's wrap it up. Is there what's something that you will take back to your classroom? Okay, let's try that again. What is something that you would take back to your classroom from this time that we've had together in this math one-to-one?
I think the big thing is that like the low floor, high ceiling isn't like super intimidating. It's just about giving students the space to like interact with the mathematics and giving them like a chance to start,
Mhm.
and also um like showing them that there's multiple ways that they can represent something. So
Right.
like with this, we showed that there were at least two different ways to do the 30. And then just giving them a chance to like kind of discuss. Like it's kind of all like almost when given like that space for them to interact with something, it kind of lends itself to kind of all these other things. So it's maybe not as intimidating as it seems. And like I like the virtual platform for like our meetings and stuff. And like maybe I could show this up on the screen and like we could interact together. But like I don't necessarily have to get out all the Chromebooks because I have those Unifix cubes that I can just kind of like give them, they can interact with and go from there. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great idea. And then you have like the best of both worlds. You have a little bit of tech
Yeah.
and a little bit of hands-on. Fantastic. All
Yeah.
right, awesome. Well, thank you. I hope that you have a better understanding of low floor, high ceiling tasks now. And thanks so much. I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks. You too.